Logan. The clock is ticking. It's time for KVNU Game Day. Sponsored by Alpine Home Medical, Advanced Heating and Air Conditioning, Les Olson Company, Jarek's Fine Jewelry, My Mattress, Elements Restaurant, Cache Valley Bank, Daryl's Appliance, Advanced Fireplace and Stove, Cache Valley Ear, Nose and Throat, White Pine Funeral Home, S.E. Needham Jewelers, Castelite, and LSS Insurance. Now, to break down the game, here's the longtime voice of the Aggies, Al Lewis.
Yep, I'm back, and we are back. And, of course, the theme will be, we hope it is a complete season where the fans can be back, as interactive as they can be in the stadium and in the Spectrum and all those things as we go along. There's also a theme that we will have this year on our game days, 50 years of covering the Aggies for both Craig Hislop and myself on the radio, at least on an active everyday basis. There's nobody around who can match that. So we will give you as much insight and information as we can as we start another season here tonight. Remember, it's a 2-hour show tonight. Most of our shows will be just 1 hour before the game, and then we're on after the game to take calls, to break it down, get coaches and player interviews and all of that. That's what it's all about, game day. You know, you realize by the time the Aggies and Washington State kick off in this season opener tonight, most of the other college football teams will have already completed game one of the new year. When you have a 9 o'clock kickoff, it's like us and Hawaii are about the only places that start that late. But it is game one, and you go into game one with excitement and enthusiasm, and you're mostly healthy, and you have high expectations for a great result to happen this new season of 2021. For Utah State in specific, though, it's got to be, of course, a lot better than last year. You got to be much higher in the Mountain West than a fifth-place finish. It's just what in the Mountain Division, the experts are so-called experts are saying the Aggies will have this year. Plus, you do add in the story of the new regime taking over for the Aggies. And you know what? It'll be a new regime in basketball as well when Ryan Odom starts. But upbeat Blake Anderson comes to Logan from Arkansas State, where he spent 7 years, had 2 Sun Belt titles, bowl trips in 6 of those seasons there. Some of his coaches from there have come with him. But you know what? A number were assembled in kind of a diverse, energetic group who has attacked the recruiting and the conditioning and the practice and the preparation about as hard and aggressive as we have ever witnessed. So, game one, Coach Anderson can tell you a lot.
Well, it's game week. It's time to go. But it's time to get on to opponent. Kids are tired of practicing against each other, which is typical at every fall camp in the country. Ready to play an opponent. Whether we're ready or not, I guess that remains to be seen. But you kind of just got to go out and measure yourself and see what you're capable of doing.
Because a win and all the players and coaches and the surrounding factors in the program are off to lofty heights that we hope we will get. A loss, though, doesn't necessarily mean it's not working, but within game one, you can see glimpses of what is to come and maybe what isn't to come, what we can expect of our Utah State Aggies this year. With their super seniors, many among the 18 starters that are back and the returning others, then you got young players that are getting their first shots to play this year, and then this mix of a group of extraordinary transfers who are now wearing blue and white, like linebacker Justin Rice. This is the third FBS school that he has had an opener with because he's been at Fresno, been at Arkansas State, and now here.
I couldn't be more excited. This group of guys have been working really hard all spring, all summer, all fall camp, so we're just ready to go out there and show what we've been working on.
So we are here to let you meet and hear from many of the elements coming up, plus to tell you about the opponent, of course, and that's the Washington State Cougars, and also to start to fill you in on what looks like will be a full regular season of college football with crowds and not the topic, we hope not much at least, of COVID. As we get started tonight, we begin the new season. This is the only local complete coverage before and after every game of your Utah State Aggies. So once again, we say, hi, everybody. Al Lewis here, and it's game day on KVNU. So for the next 2 hours tonight, information, entertainment on the Aggies in game one before this opener at Pullman, Washington. It'll be on the Pac-12 network at 9 o'clock. And you'll be hearing from players and coaches. We have scores from other games, possible keys to how this matchup. This is the fourth time ever Washington State, Utah State have played. Washington State about a 17-point favorite. But both of these teams kind of have similar themes going into the game tonight, again, as we are going to show you and talk to you all about. Right, Craig? Well, it's been at least 20 years now before Aggie football games that I have sat down with Craig Hislop in each of the days or nights of the contest to set up, as we say in the business, the storylines of the game. And so per tradition, let's get started right there on game day with Craig. And Craig, welcome to the new season. And we certainly are hoping that this is nothing like last season in lots of ways, right?
Yeah, I never felt like a real full scheduled of games in the fall type of season, because it wasn't. Part of the fun for me to each new season is what we go through, like we have the last couple of weeks, the build-up to the season, first of all, to the opener. And I don't remember it being much like that. All of a sudden, last year we got this delayed start the last week of October. We're playing Boise State in the opening game that really should be at the end of the season, no matter what. And then by the time we get to mid-November, the Aggies are 0-4. Gary Anderson's been fired. The Wyoming game's been canceled. The Aggies then put up 41 points and outscore New Mexico by 14 with 198 people in the stands. And then Air Force whips the Aggies 25-7. Players refuse to get on the plane later in the next week or two to Colorado State, and that's how it ends. Unsatisfying, weird, bizarre, a record of 1-5 or 1-6. And basically no crazy fan environment, no real continuity to anything. And remember how Jason Shelley, the U of U transfer, struggled as the Aggie starting quarterback last year, eventually was dismissed from the team. And I thought it was ironic that just this week he was in the news again when he surfaced at Missouri State, where one-time Aggie assistant Bob Petrino is now the head coach. Remember, Petrino would head coach at Louisville a couple times, in Arkansas and some other places. So this week, Bob Petrino announced Jason Shelley had come into camp and beat out 2 returning quarterbacks, and he will start against Oklahoma State, which shocks me. So here we are, and just like Jason Shelley at Missouri State, we're all hoping for just a new start to a real live football season.
Get rid of last year, and again, Petrino, the offensive coordinator, when John L. Smith was here at Utah State. So, Craig, it's been 50 years. You and me, Mr. Hislop, we have been on the radio formally covering the Aggies in some way. How many coaches, without looking at your list there, how many coaches do you think we've covered?
Oh, man. 8, 9, 7, 6?
15.
Is it that many?
Now, it's 15 if you count Frank Miley for 3 games last year and Gary Anderson twice. Okay. But I thought this would be interesting, since this is the show we say is for the local Aggie fans to really get the lowdown on their team before and after every game, this game day on KVNU. I want just a quick thought from you of each coach that we have either interviewed with or worked with or met with or talked about, starting with Chuck Mills. What comes to mind?
With Chuck, he was the motivator. He didn't. I never heard him talk X's and O's.
And I would say the player loyalty to him. I've never seen any coach who had guys who played for him forever, who have followed him wherever.
Good point.
Okay, Phil Kruger.
Phil Kruger, a very driven man. He drove himself as hard as he drove his players.
And what comes to mind to me is Louis Giammona in that year. Plus, he was 7-2 against Utah, BYU, and Weber State. So pretty good in-state stuff. What about Bruce Snyder?
Bruce Snyder, when I worked with him as the SID, he was the organizer. He put together winning teams at USU and Cal and Arizona State.
He had maybe the best coaching staff we've ever had here at Utah State when you look at what they've gone on and done after they were here at that time that he was here. What about Chris Pella?
Chris Pella, as nice of a man as I've ever met in coaching, it just didn't go well as head coach.
And you know what? If one play which was wrongly called, the Steve Young BYU game, if he would have got that win rather than BYU being able to continue on when Hal Garner had the ball and had taken the ball away, we would have won that game. Who knows what would have happened? That was in his first year as coach at Utah
Good point.
State. Chuck Shelton.
Chuck was an engaging man, old school coach, no nonsense with the athletes.
But dessert first. That's what I always remember. He always, I'm going to have dessert, then I'll decide if I'm going to eat everything. But you know what? His staff was pretty good, too. that he brought here to Utah State after. And you know what? He went 1-23 in non-conference games. The only win was against Utah, but he went 25-16 in conference games at Utah State. That's pretty good to lose all those preseason games and then turn around and win conference games.
The athletic leadership at the time told him, you got to win in the conference. And he did.
Charlie Weatherby.
Charlie Weatherby. How do you spell fun? W-I-N.
Praise the Lord. Climbing the pole against Kansas State. Those are the things that I remember about him. John L. Smith.
John L. Smith, to me, the one Big Sky coach who came here that actually had a little success at Utah State.
The thing I'll always remember more than anything is when you're trying to ask him that one thing leaving the field the one time. Huh? What, Craig? Oh, and by the way, you're ugly, too.
Loosey-goosey. He was.
But he was a high-powered, and he hated Boise State.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy. Dave Arslanian.
Dave Arslanian, I thought he was a good coach in the wrong situation at Utah State.
And everybody talked about how great he was an offensive coach. His brother, Paul Arslanian, that supposedly was what the administration didn't like, he brought him here. That was the best part of the team. They had more sacks of the quarterback during the years that Paul Arslanian was in charge of the defense than any other time. What about Mick Dennehy?
Mick Dennehy was a likable guy, a good football man. He's the guy that let us come in and listen to his coaches' meeting before every game.
That's right.
As a radio preparation. It was great.
That's where it started, and he was one of the nicest guys I've ever met, despite whatever he was. I really like Mick. What about Brent Guy?
Brent Guy, a widely respected, because he's had a lot of jobs, as an assistant coach. Mm-hmm.
And he recruited Bobby Wagner and Robert Turbin.
Don't forget that.
Don't forget that, fans. Don't forget that. And he beat Pat Hill in that one win that 1 year when we got all the yelling. Okay, Gary Anderson, first time Gary Anderson was here.
He made us all believe, and he was a player's coach, but he would say that on every postgame show. We've all got to do this together.
Respect the process was what he always said.
And we did.
Overtime win against Utah, the Hawaii win, the Louisiana Tech win. Those were big wins that the Aggies hadn't been getting in football till he came. What about Matt Wells?
Matt Wells, an Aggie quarterback that becomes the Aggie head coach to me.
And the Mountain West title game, very first year we were in the Mountain West, and he got Jordan Love here to town, and of course we saw what happened. Now, what about Gary Anderson, too?
Timing wasn't good.
Never the same energy as before in whatever area. I don't know why. And then what about Frank Miley?
Frank, to me, was always a soft-spoken guy who I think had a really good football mind.
I think he was in a tough spot. He won that bowl game when Matt left as a head coach in the interim basis, and now he's a rival at Boise State. Yeah. And now what do you think of Blake Anderson, first impressions?
Well, we had brief experiences with him putting together pregame shows when we played them in 16 or in 14 back in the day when coaches actually did that for us. And very accommodating impression since he's been here with a chance to interview him in Las Vegas and Mountain West Media Days. I love his enthusiasm, and I think he's a player's coach, and I think he can get this job done.
He moves fast.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I've noticed for up until now. He inherits 18 starters, 44 Letterman, including the super seniors from an official 1-5 team last year. And, of course, now you got this blend. So it'll be interesting to see, Craig, again, how this interesting mix of this team comes together this year with the old and the new coach and everything else.
The reason I liked Blake Anderson's hiring was that with his experience in the game, how many coaches have we hired that had 7 years as a head coach?
I don't know if we've ever hired one with that much.
And after a season like last year, I felt, which was a huge step backwards for Aggie football, he's, to me, the perfect guy to take a widely divergent 90 or 100 student athletes, many of them new faces that he's brought in from all over the country, from high-profile programs, and get this program back on track and do it in the framework of a creative offensive style, fast, aggressive defensive approach. And I really like his young group of assistant coaches that he's put together. They all have been responsible for the buy-in that's brought this team together. It's been a long process, spring football and then the last few weeks of fall camp, putting the pieces together, and I can't wait to see how the results come out.
Second youngest coaching staff in America in Division I, and the most diverse with the people that are a part of it. We'll talk about that later on. But, okay, to make it work, we got to find playmakers. What is it? Players win games, players make plays, and they win games. Who are the playmakers, or who can be the playmakers of this Aggie team?
Well, on defense, the Aggies have a bunch of returning starters like Shaq Bond and Nick Henniger, Andre Grayson. The Aggie fans are really excited to see this year's preseason Defensive Player of the Year in the Mountain West Conference. He's a guy that's on our team. He's never played for us. He played at Fresno State and Arkansas State. Hasn't played it down for the Aggies, and that's number 3, Justin Rice. Justin this week talked about his experience playing against Nick Rolovich's Hawaii team, so he's going to fit right in. And then to help get this fast-paced spread offense going, Blake Anderson's going to put either Arkansas State transfer Logan Bonner or Aggie returner at quarterback Andrew Peasley, a talented runner, behind the veterans that they have on the offensive line and receivers like Devin Tompkins and Justin McGriff. But there are questions at running back other than Devontae Henry Cole. The Aggies have got to come up with something there, plus Savon Scarver, one of the country's best kick returners. He can help you at receiver, too. There's some talent here now.
Okay, now fill us in on Washington State, the opponent tonight. The Cougars were 1-3 last year in their limited Pac-12 season. What do you think Nick Rolovich has?
First of all, these are two teams, more than many others in the country, I really think benefited from a full spring football session this year. Washington State's offensive line, as you look at it, has at least a couple of future NFL blockers in Brian Green and Abraham Lucas. And no matter who they start at quarterback, with Max Borghi and Dion McIntosh running the ball, I can't wait to see how the Aggie defense handles that combination. In last year's abbreviated schedule, it appeared to me that everybody threw the ball pretty well against these guys, and I'm not sure if it's going to be that easy this year. They have a 6'3" corner named Jalen Watson, who once signed with USC. They've got Chris Jackson, a Michigan State transfer, 2 good linebackers in Justice Rogers and Jihad Woods that have been there forever. So it's Pac-12 talent.
So how do you see the game going then in your mind, or what has to happen?
Well, the first half, as these teams kind of finally get to see what each other are really running on both sides of the ball instead of all the guessing that they've done in the preseason, last few weeks in preparation, there have been a lot of questions on both sides about what the other team's going to do. I think there'll be a feeling out process. I expect it'll be close at intermission. You expect that a Pac-12 team like Washington State has Pac-12 talent, and if the second half I think maybe the advantage of that talent might exert itself. The Aggies will have to answer when things happen that they create. The longer the upstart Aggies stay close, the more pressure it puts on the Cougars, who are something like 16, 17-point favorite. Nick Rolovich knows about the game played at the pace that Blake Anderson coaches. They've prepared for that. Cougars have certainly game planned for it, but sometimes a team coached well enough to execute this fast break offense can put a little pressure on even the best defense. I'd like to see that happen.
Here's the key I see, Craig, is the offense wants to be fast, but they can't have very many 3-and-outs. You can't just go right in and right off the field and get the defense back out there. You got to score touchdowns when you get a chance. Last year, Washington State was about the worst team in America in the red zone in defense. But guess what? The Aggies only got the red zone 8 times all of last year. So they've got to score when they get a chance. All right, well, thank you, Mr. Hislop. And again, we'll have Craig, our historian. We're going to talk about 1961, the last time these teams played. That was a great Aggie team, and you're going to want to hear that, all of you Aggie fans, as Craig gets into that. Our game day storylines on KVNU Game Day brought to you by LSS Insurance. If you need information about Medicare, it's easy to understand. They have videos and testimonials and instructions to help you understand it from LSS Insurance's website. Again, when you're turning 65, you need to get with them to get the right plan. 752-9493, their number. And we'll have your Know Your Aggie features from Eric Franson coming up. He'll have an interview with Hunter Reynolds, the transfer from Michigan. And my talk tonight is with the offensive lineman, Dimitri Aliafua. Remember, he, of course, is the second of the Aliafuas to play here. Seems like he has been around the Aggie program forever.
Definitely. It is. It's been a long time since I've been there. I'm almost one of the coaches now.
And we'll also hear from Coach Anderson and from Coach Rolovich. I mean, maybe in a lot of ways with the kind of season they had last year and only one home game and 4 games, this is kind of like his debut at Washington State too?
I guess maybe a little bit, right? People seeing it and getting a chance to see how the team's grown and grown together. I mean, I can see that question for sure.
And so we will continue. It is game day. We're on both Again, The Fan and KVNU tonight for game day, and we'll return with more after this.
Advanced Heating and AC is honored to be named gold medalist for the best of Northern Utah in the AC HVAC category. They were named silver medalist for place to work and remodeler contractor. They thank you for your votes of confidence in their company. You have many choices when it comes to your home's heating and air conditioning system. Make sure you choose the gold medal winning company, Advanced Heating and AC. Call 752-7272 or stop by their showroom west of DI. Online at advancedheating-ac.com.
I'm here with Jay Broadbent from Alpine Home Medical. Jay, I hear your ads for CPAP resupply all the time. What do I need to do to just get that taken care of?
It's easy. We can set up your CPAP resupply within a few minutes. We'll work out all the insurance for you, and then we'll start mailing the supplies straight to your door. You can even chat with a CPAP specialist online. Just visit us at alpinehomemedical.com. We'll have you sleeping better in no time.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
This is Dave Simmons for Les Olson Company. It's first and goal on the 10-yard line. Your team is poised to make the play of a lifetime. Your quarterback hands off to the running back who rushes right into a wall. Now the away team says they'll take the wall out of your way, but only after you hand them a suitcase full of cash. That's exactly how ransomware works. In 2020, half of all organizations were victims of a ransomware attack. Don't take risks. Take action with the Les Olson Security Suite. Get your free network assessment at lesolson.com.
The Aggies are always number one here. It's KVNU Game Day with the voice of the Aggies, Al Lewis.
You know, every weekend in college football, the schedule offers a compelling matchup this year. The AP, of course, was looking at the ones, and obviously the one today is really big. It's interesting between, again, Georgia and Clemson, because both of those teams are in the top 5 to start the season, and no team has lost the opening game of the season and reached the Bowl Championship Series title game. So that's something to keep in mind. And right now at the half, 7-0 for Georgia over Clemson. Not much going on there. Florida leads Florida Atlantic. Texas A&M over Kent State. Washington leads Montana, only 7-3 in the second quarter. UCLA and LSU are still in the first quarter, no score. Alabama won big today, 44-13, a new freshman quarterback, and he was good, Bryce Young. Oklahoma struggled to beat Tulane, but they won 40-35, so number 2 won today. We had, of course, number 4 the other night. Ohio State had to kind of come from behind to beat Minnesota. Number 7, Iowa State struggled with Northern Iowa, 16-10, but they won that. Number 8, Cincinnati won easily. How about number 11, Oregon? They had to come from behind to beat Fresno State, 31-24. Fresno State looking like they're a pretty good team. Penn State's win over Wisconsin today. The North Carolina lost last night. Those are the rated teams that have lost so far. In our other conference play today, Air Force 35, Lafayette 14. Wyoming had to kind of come from behind to beat Montana State 19-16. And USC did beat the reigning conference champions, San Jose State, from last year. As we continue game day.
I'm excited about the game. I think it's a great game for us. It's a big challenge. We know that going in, but it's a challenge that we're excited about. We're putting together a game plan to go up there and get a win on the road against a good opponent. And I think the kids have kind of wrapped their minds around that is possible. It is doable if we do the right things. We prepare the right way and we go in and play our best ball. And that's what we're going to try to do this week. So,
like we said, again, earlier on game day as we started, since December 12th when Blake Anderson took over and hired, it's been like a speeding train up on the hill. He comes to the USU program, and Craig was right. He's the first guy with a winning record we've hired with that much coaching experience. Chuck Shelton didn't have a winning record at Drake. He coached 9 years when he came here to Logan. But again, he comes to the program, of course, at Utah State that was turned around under Gary Anderson 1 and Matt Wells to be a perennial bowl team and to be a conference title contender. And then all of a sudden it fell away in the one COVID year of last year. And the guy who was standing there as the starting quarterback at the end of last year, Andrew Peasley.
I think, the main thing was mentally, like, going into a game, especially for coaches, like, game planning, like, here's what we can do, here's what we can't do. And then the day before, you got 5 guys that have to leave. And so it was tough, but, like I said, I think there's always positives coming into this next season to look back and learn from it. So
not Andrew Peasley, but many Aggie players either were done or into the transfer portal after that disastrous campaign. But Coach Anderson quickly brought former Aggie Chucky Keaton and 4 others with him from Arkansas State to get rolling quickly. And the players here in Logan seem to feel that change so fast and only 4 major contributors from last year's team. Maybe 2 of them key guys would be Justice Tae and Carter Shaw, the offensive lineman, who could have played. But again, the others have returned. 14 super seniors are back, including a consensus All-American a few years back in Savon Scarver. Scarver, 6 career kickoff return touchdowns, 1 away from the NCAA record. 49 catches, over 14 yards a catch during his career. And another guy who got out of the portal and decided to come back to Logan, the Florida native Devin Tompkins, who, of course, has been a big-time playmaker.
Going into the portal, there was, as you guys know, last year, there was just a lot of different things happening, with coaching changes and things like that. And, just from being here from the first year I've been here at Utah State, I've dealt with a lot of coaching changes. This is my 3rd head coach. So I've just really learned throughout this process to really be adaptable, to be able to adapt to, whatever style of philosophy that each coach brings in. You kind of just got to buy into their program, and that's really the biggest thing I think that is important for, being able to handle something like this. And just as an offense, I'm really excited to be in this offense. It's similar to the one we ran a little bit back in 2018 when it was fast-paced. So I'd say there's more freedom with this one than there is than the last one. I'm really excited to be back in that, and wear teams down.
DT, 69 career catches, 5 touchdowns, father of 2, juggles the plate, has one of the kids with him here in Logan, but he gets it done, and he's now back and really excited. Those 2 big play guys need to make the big plays, Scarver and Tompkins, to make this fast-paced spread offense work. It appears, though, from spring and then into summer work, and then, of course, the fall camp, the new offensive coordinator, Anthony Tucker, who was with Josh Heupel at Central Florida last year, feels like he's got weapons besides those 2 guys, too.
I feel the way that this program was built with what they've done offensively, within the last 3-4 years, I don't feel like we're too far off personnel-wise. I think there's some pieces in the skill position and even in the O-line that fit what we're doing. So you just want to continue to add to that.
And for Coach Tucker and the Aggie offense, nowhere to go but up. Almost at NCAA worst last year, 124th in scoring, 123rd in total offense, 120 in passing. Only 8 red zone trips in 6 games, and they scored 4 touchdowns then. Just 15 scrimmage plays that were more than 20 yards, those explosive plays. And barely half of those were, again, pass plays. So first off in 2021, we need to see this fast offense move the ball, score consistently, and make more big plays. Now, the offensive line, like you talked about, includes really, with the tight end, 4 starters back from last year, and the feeling is that Alfred Edwards and Jacob South and Carson Terrell and Demetric Aliafua can get the job done. And again, I had a chance to talk to that second brother in the Aggie program just recently.
Definitely, it is. It's been a long time since I've been there. I'm almost one of the coaches now. But man, just getting ready for football every year, it's kind of crazy to think I'm here for a 6th year. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a few more players on the team that are here for 6 years, but man, it really takes a toll on the body. But we're excited. We're really excited for the year.
So with the abbreviated year last year to play, body-wise, was conditioning off-season even more important maybe going to that 6th year than maybe some of the other years have been?
Yeah, this year has definitely been a lot about maintaining and staying injury-free. Building up to this season, it's really important, especially because we played a lot of ball. Myself and, like I said, a few other guys who played a lot of football. It's really important to take care of our bodies and build it the right way. Now we've been able to do that with Coach Jackson as far as strength and nutrition and conditioning. So it's been really great.
And attitude of everybody around, the blending. I mean, it really is kind of a new start for everybody because this is a new coaching staff for the most part. There's not many guys who've been around, and so really it's kind of a new thing for everybody.
Definitely, and I think the attitude is perfect right now. It's really infectious because everybody's really, really, really trying to work. We want to win. We want to win a championship, a Mountain West championship, and I think we can do that. The culture around here has changed, but for the better. And everybody's doing really well and adapting and moving along with it. So we're excited.
Well, Dimitri, to be honest, you've been on teams that have been there and had that chance and all that kind of stuff. What is it going to take? I mean, preseason people looking at this team say, oh, well, they're not a contender maybe in the Mountain Division. What do you have to say about that, and what does that do to motivate you?
I think it motivates our whole team. We enjoy being the underdog. It's always best to fight our way and climb our way to the top. I think they really have to look out for us. As a team, we've grown together, and similar to the 2018 year when we did really well, our best guys are going to perform. whether it's conditioning, strength, no matter what it is, they're always going to perform. And those guys are always leading. And the people behind us are willing to follow and listen. And like I said, just like 2018, I got the same feeling, man. I'm really, really excited about what we have this year.
There was a couple years ago, I remember when I talked to Coach Woods when he was here, and he said he thought that this was a young group of guys that could come along and be good offensive linemen through the years. Coach Anderson today, when I asked him if there's a concern on the team, he says, I'm not concerned about my offensive line, but I'm concerned about maybe depth and things there. What can you have to tell us about the offensive line and who's there, and do you have enough bodies? And you play both center and guard. Do you know your position you're going to be at right now, and what does it look like?
Right now, personally, for me, I'm doing my best every single day, grind it out, and wherever they need me, that's where I'm going to play. Just like the rest of us. We got a lot of returning guys. Now we have some experience on our belt, 1.5 season. It's better than nothing, absolutely. Depth, I don't think it will be too much of a problem. Like I said, Coach Jackson is doing a great job in maintaining our bodies and help build us for this hard upcoming season along with this fall camp. So we got guys like Fred, Jacob South. We got young guys, or used to be young guys like Jackson. People really showing out. And it's really good to see because like you said, we had a talented young group of people. But now, like I said, we have some experience under our belt and working together. So I think we'll be good. I think we'll do well.
Would you rather play center or rather play guard yourself?
Honestly, I really just want to win. That's my biggest focus right now. Is I want to win. Whether I'm at guard, center, tackle, DN, cornerback, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to help my team win.
Number 58 will be the starter at left guard, it looks like, appearing in the game. He will be a rare guy, 5-year letterman at Utah State with that season this year. He mentioned Jackson Owens is a young guy playing behind him. Wade Meekham's another. Chandler Dolphin has earned a scholarship as a senior now, one of 4 who got scholarships during the fall camp. But again, we mentioned most of that offensive line. Alfred Edwards is going to be one of the captains in the game tonight. It would appear that the running back core is in reality a group of 4 or 5 who can play. So the question tonight on offense for Utah State is quarterback. Transfer Logan Bonner, who was the starter again at Arkansas State last year when Coach Blake Anderson was there, or the starter who was here for the last 2 games of last year for the Aggies. And again, we asked Coach Anderson on Monday, was he ready to name a starter or could he name a starter? And he went on to say this.
Well, I can say, I'm not going to say. How about that? We're still in a quarterback competition. We're trying to be as fair and transparent and deliberate as we can be. We've had great conversations with both young men. They've both done phenomenal jobs trying not to hold the injury against Logan. He didn't mean to break a bone in his foot. He didn't want to miss the reps that he did. We're just trying to give him every opportunity to really, number one, be healthy, which he is, but also catch up on the reps that he missed. At the same time, we're trying to be just as fair with Peasley, who had a phenomenal spring, maybe as good a summer as we've had as a player, not just quarterback, just player that I've been around, and just how he worked and the time he spent and just the improvements that he made. So, I think we're really in a really good space. And the fact that we got 2 guys that can both lead our team effectively, we just want to make sure we make the right choice as to who that's going to be in the long term.
At Arkansas State with the Red Wolves, it was Logan Bonner, 3,166 yards, 30 touchdowns, 9 interceptions in his 24 career games there, and he had 15 starts. And all 11 he started last year in that 4-7 team the coach had. Peasley, 37 of 69 for 369 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions last year. He did play in 5 of the 6 games. Now, Bonner transferred in after, again, the Arkansas State staff came here. He looked into the portal, and then he looked at Utah State. Kent Myers did influence him to come here. He knew him from high school and all, and we'll get into that a little bit later in the season with Logan Bonner. But, again, then he comes to town, and he can't play because of a broken foot.
Yeah, it was pretty frustrating. I got here second week, and then we were in practice, and my foot snapped, and I knew it was significant. So I got surgery, and then knew I was going to be out for spring, so it was really frustrating, but there's nothing I could have did to prevent it. So we're rocking and rolling now, and released and ready to roll.
Is the system that's going to be run here the system that was run at Arkansas State?
Yeah, pretty much. There's some different things that go into it, like freedom for the receivers a little bit more in certain situations. But for the most part, yeah, it's pretty much the same.
So Andrew Peasley got all the spring work when Bonner was on the sidelines, and you heard Blake Anderson say, again, he really did prepare for this season great, but Andrew knew it was going to be a quarterback battle with Bonner coming in.
Yeah, and quarterback's a kind of unique position because there's only one guy on the field, right? So I think you have to take into account that we're all trying to win that spot, but at the same time, we're all trying to help each other. It's a weird relationship that quarterbacks have. We all get along. I've never not got along with a quarterback, because I think we're all have the same goals of helping others, helping the team out. So I think that, competition's a good thing. We're only going to make each other better and make everyone else better. So.
Coach Anderson didn't even rule out maybe both could play in this game, but he's number 1 on your Aggie roster. That's where Logan Bonner is listed with his uniform number 1. And he told me about his style as a quarterback.
Yeah, I'm more of a pocket passer. I mean, I can make any throw on the field. There's not one I think I can't not make. But I'm really an anticipation guy. Balls coming out a lot before receivers and stuff like that. And I'm also a guy that can make plays with my feet if I need to. I'm not looking for that, but if I have to do it, I can do it whenever I need to and help the team win.
And we know Andrew Peasley can make plays with his feet. He is one of the fastest guys for sure. So whoever it is running this fast offense for coordinator Anthony Tucker, is it really Andrew Peasley as fast as we saw with David Yost maybe in 2018?
It's as fast or maybe faster. I don't know. We'll see. That depends on the players and, Coach Tucker calling it. So we'll see. I think it can be fast. As fast or faster. So,
and do you like that as a quarterback? I mean, obviously it puts defense on the heels. You would think more than it does the offense. I would have to think that's the reason why you do it.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's an advantage. I think that Coach Tucker's good at calling it too. It can be at a disadvantage if nothing's working, like if you're just going 3 and out. But I think we have the guys to score. So, and if you're scoring, then it's a good thing. So
can't have fast offense and 3 and outs for sure. Well, we'll see if it's a 2-quarterback contest tonight for the Aggies at Pullman, Washington, or if the coaches really have decided to roll with just one. For sure, I think as the year goes on, they want to do that no matter what. Our offensive preview brought to you tonight by Jarek's Fine Jewelry. Charm bracelets, necklaces, earrings, birthstone jewelry, custom design, in-house laser jewelry repair, fashion jewelry, along with the best in diamond engagement rings. Of course, it's always make it special, make it Jarek's. All right, a little about the Washington State Cougars coming up and our first Know Your Aggies feature. It's one of those 13 four-year transfers as game day continues on The Fan and KVNU.
Ascent Aesthetics is throwing a parking lot party Monday, September 13th from 4 to 8. The first 50 people receive gift bags. Enjoy food trucks, prizes every 15 minutes, live demos, and you can win amazing treatments like Botox, skincare, laser hair removal, and microneedling. Special pricing is available on all purchases. Join Ascent Aesthetics Monday, September 13th from 4 to 8 at 169 North Gateway Drive, Providence. Prizes, fun, and food. Go to AscentAesthetics.com. That's AscentAesthetics.com for more details. Ascent Aesthetics looks forward to meeting you.
This is Ryan at My Mattress. Labor Day is the biggest sell of the year. IntelliBed and Tempur-Pedic are the 2 best mattress brands available. Get up to $1,800 savings on these beds with free adjustable bases on the others. IntelliBed soothes pressure points but lifts the lower back, while Tempur-Pedic conforms to hip and shoulders and cradles the spine. Different technologies with the best sleep results. Best prices of the year only at My Mattress right now for the Labor Day sale. Isn't it time to sleep exceptionally?
We're getting to know our Aggies, Hunter Reynolds, and just whatever comes to your mind. Okay, there are no wrong answers.
Got you.
Okay. All right, what's your favorite movie?
Inception.
Ooh, that's a good one. What's the color of your toothbrush?
I think it's white and blue, I think. I don't know. I really kind of took it out the package, just started using it. Didn't really catch too many of the details about it.
All right, what NBA or NFL jersey did you wear as a kid or want to wear as a kid?
I had a LeBron James jersey from the original Cleveland Cavaliers, his original time there, when it was like the maroon and gold. That was the jersey I wore a lot as a kid.
Okay. Marvel or DC, or are you not into the comics or those movies?
I say DC just because they had the Dark Knight trilogy with Christopher Nolan. But if you take that away, I'd probably say Marvel.
You're a real Christopher Nolan guy.
Yeah, that's my favorite director. I think my 3 favorite movies are all directed by him. So
I think we can be friends. What's your favorite book?
I forgot the name of it, but it was I want to say Think Like a Millionaire or it was just a book about, different techniques that you can apply in your life that, you might not think about it every day, but it's just little things like making your bed, pushing chairs in whenever you leave a table, just small things that help you really key on little details in life.
Good, I like that. And then finally, what was your favorite vacation spot when you were a kid?
My dad, he used to work for BET and Viacom every year. They take the employees to Colorado for a ski trip. That was a cool vacation.
I'm jealous. All right, Hunter Reynolds, thank you so much.
Yeah, take care. Thank you.
Know Your Aggies feature tonight brought to you by Daryl's Appliance. Why buy from Daryl's? No risk extended warranty. If you don't use that extended warranty after 5 years, they'll give your money back. Daryl's, west on Airport Road, the best. Yeah, we're going to hear later on Eric talks and more football with Hunter Reynolds, who will back up Shaq Bond at safety. He was 4 years at Michigan, was in 20 career games there. He is out of South Orange, New Jersey, and he'll wear number 27 as we watch that this year. Remember, it is the Pac-12 networks for the game tonight, the Aggies and Washington State. It starts at 9 o'clock on the Pac-12 networks. That is not a network that everybody gets, but if you get it, you can get it. There's also some ways you get it through online and different forums like that, so I'm sure all the Aggies on the chat boards will be helping you with that as well. So let's talk about it. It was a shorter and not a great year last year as we talk about, we know the forgotten season in Logan, but really for the Cougars of the Pac-12, Washington State, they only, again, played 4 games and won 1. The Cougars actually had rebounded out of the football doldrums kind of like the Aggies did in recent years under Mike Leach. And who was a big part of that? Luke Falk, former Logan High quarterback. He set the Pac-12 and the Washington State career records, 14,486 passing yards, 119 touchdowns. He was the winningest Cougar quarterback ever with 27 wins in his career. And he was in the NFL for a while, started twice for the 2019 Jets, was in with a few other teams, drafted, of course, by Tennessee. But isn't it interesting here, a hometown guy from Logan, who is the guy who's one of the famous people at Washington State. Well, Leach left for Mississippi State last year, and the former Hawaii coach, Nick Rolovich, got the job. He was 4 years as the head coach of the Rainbow Warriors, 3 bowl years there, was the Mountain West Coach of the Year in 2019. He was in the islands for 8 years as a coach. Before that, the Nevada offensive coordinator. He was a college quarterback himself. He was a junior college All-American out of the City College of San Francisco and then went to Hawaii 2 years. Had one of the big upsets for Hawaii ever against BYU when he was quarterback. And he's known, again, for the run and shoot and the pistol offense. And how about this? Moving again to Pullman, Washington from the shores of Hawaii?
Well, the winter snow was a little different. It's been a little bit, I think there's a lot more similarities just than differences in.
Rolovich and Wazoo did win their opener at Oregon State last year, but they only played, like we said, 4. Their finale was against the University of Utah, and they lost that game by 45-29. They returned 20 starters, 8 on offense, 10 on defense, and 2 specialists, and they have had a full season to, again, now get a season ready to go for the coach.
I'd like them to play hard and together for the whole season, deal with adversity much better than we did last season, whether it be an opportunity we have. We should probably talk about that later in the season. I think we have a lot to do still before we go down those roads.
And for Rolovich, his best players, a linebacker, Jihad Woods, the career Pac-12 tackle leader. He's had 40 starts in his career. He really impresses Coach Anderson.
He's just one of those guys, very similar to Justin Rice, that just has a nose for the ball. He seems to end up in the right place. He plays with a super high motor. He's got so many snaps under his belt. He's kind of seen it all and done it all, if that makes sense. And it's hard to get experience quickly. He's been playing for 4 straight years. I mean, the guy's, he's a coach on the field. He just finds the ball regardless of how you try to attack him. And so we're going to do a great job of knowing where he's at. We got to do a great job of getting bodies on him, making his job hard, hopefully getting up to that second level and getting him distracted and getting bodies on him where he's not running free. If he runs free, the guy makes a tackle every play.
Jihad Woods, again, this linebacker. Look out for him, again, for Washington State in this football game. He is number 13 playing linebacker. Their offensive lineman, Abraham Lucas, is a 4th-team preseason All-American. Their wide receiver, Terrell Harris, is also their return guy, and he's had a lot of yards. And then running back Mac Borgie. Borgie is the only player in college football who's on the Doak Walker list for being the best running back and on the Blitnikoff list for being the best receiver. He's that good at both spots up until now. And they have had a quarterback battle at Washington State like us. The starter, Jaden DeLaura, was the first true freshman to start an opener last year when he did all 4 games, 886 yards, 5 touchdowns. He was a walk-on. But a Tennessee transfer, Jarrett Gortano, 41 career games played with the Volunteers, 32 starts, 38 touchdowns. It looks like he will be the starter, is what everybody was saying yesterday. But still, Coach Rolovich likes that there was the competition.
I really feel good about having 2 guys that can help us win. I mean, that's a good place to be. And I understand where, if you have 2, you don't have 1. I haven't heard that argument, but I appreciate their competitiveness, Cam and Victor too. And the togetherness of the group, understanding that one guy can only play.
The guy he mentions, Cam, is Cameron Cooper from Lehigh, who played with Carson Terrell in high school football, recruited up to Washington State, hasn't had a chance to play much at quarterback. But so Garantano probably will be the quarterback for them. Washington State was almost as bad as the Aggies last year on defense. They gave up more points than the Aggies and more passing yards a game. Cougars were average against the run, little better than average, 41st in the country in passing, but they were not the great offensive team I think that they're expected to be. Both teams were plus on special teams last year. The Aggies were number 3 in the country overall in the metrics of college football focus for having a great special team. And, of course, we have the special teams player of the year going into the conference in the Mountain West, and Coach Rolovich knows all about Savon Scarver.
No doubt he's a dynamic player with the ball in his hand. I spent the last few years in the Mountain West, got a chance to see him kind of come up, and it seemed like almost every other week he was a special teams player of the week in the Mountain West for some of the things he's done. So great football player. I got nothing bad to say about him. I think, you got to have respect for good football players.
So we'll see if Scarver can be a factor. We, again, need his big plays with the returns and with big catches. All right, so it is Utah State, Washington State tonight, and our historian Craig Hislop remembers 60 years ago when these teams last played. As we continue on our game day, and tonight we're on KVNU and the Fan. We'll be right back.
This is James Stevens with White Pine Funeral Services. We often hear people say, I wish I could use White Pine, but I've already paid for arrangements elsewhere. Know that if you've already pre-planned with a different funeral home, you can still call White Pine. If you are being told you'll lose up to 25% of your money, White Pine will provide a discount equal to any fee for switching. If you have any questions, please stop by for a visit or give us a call. We would love to meet you and explain in more detail.
White Pine Funeral Services, here when you need us most.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Labor Day Monday on This Morning, America's First News. Kids struggling with what's called long COVID. Hear what they're experiencing. Also, how college athletes are turning to apps like Cameo to now legally make money off their name. Plus, wearing a t-shirt instead of a button-down with your suit. Some say the Miami Vice look is cool again. And youth sports coaches with a message for parents. Monday on This Morning, America's First News. Monday morning from 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM. Your station for news, weather, and sports.
We love being in Smithfield and making it easy for our friends and customers to do their banking. Hi, this is Danny Hansen, branch manager at Cache Valley Bank in Smithfield. If you don't bank with us, I invite you to discover what a great financial partner you'll find in Cache Valley Bank. I'm anxious to get to know you and invite you to stop by and say hello. Now celebrating our 2nd year in Smithfield, located on the corner of Center and Main, Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
The station for Aggie sports. News Talk KVNU, 102 FM and 610 AM.
Just another place that I'm going to, just another opponent. All the guys that I know that I coach with, Mike Leach and all those guys, they're all gone. All the players that I coach there, they're all gone. So it's just another team that I'm looking to compete with and get after.
That's the Aggie cornerback coach, Ray Brown, who was a graduate assistant at Washington State in 2013. 3 Aggies, Devontae Henry Cole and Nick Henniger at Utah, did play against Washington State. In fact, Cole twice played against them and had a career-high 79 yards against them. And then Calvin Tyler, the junior, played at Oregon State against Washington State before. He had no stats, and Nick really didn't have any stats either. Tim Burmeister is the defensive quality coach for Utah State. He was at Washington State at one time. And Mark Weber is now their offensive line coach. Remember, he was Matt Wells' offensive line coach for a couple seasons here in Logan as well. So some of the interesting matchups of this opener tonight at Pullman, Washington, Aggies and Washington State to start the season. This is season 124 for Utah State football. The Aggies have lost 4 straight openers, just have won 3 of their last 9 first games that have been victories. 5 of those 6, though, have been on the road against a Power 5 school. Cougars have 4 straight opening wins. They're 18-3 the last 3 years. They played at this Giza field that holds 32,000, almost 33,000, Martin Stadium, until a naming deal with the second largest credit union in Washington State. They can have 100% capacity, supposedly, for the game. Oregon looked like they had tempered theirs down with masks and things like that. Supposedly not in this situation. And it is the 4th ever meeting for, again, as you may recall, we were supposed to play Washington State here in Logan last year to open up, but COVID took that out. But 1949, Aggies were in Pullman and lost 33-0. Then in 1950, Wazoo came to the old Romney Stadium and walloped the Aggies, 46-6. But Utah State made it a 2-1 series in 1961. And remembering and recalling a great team, a great season, our history man is back. Here is Craig Hislop.
Now, this game was played 60 years ago at September 30th, 1961, not in Pullman, Washington, but over in Spokane. Aggies won it 34-14, third game of a 10-game regular season, which saw Utah State put together a record of 9 wins, no losses, and a tie in the regular season. It was, I think, arguably, the greatest team in Aggie football history. Head coach John Ralston was in the 3rd of his 4 years as head coach before he took off to be the head coach at Stanford, eventually being hired by the Denver Broncos as their head coach. Now, this game was not marked by an impressive statistical profile by any means. The Aggies, who had 12 first downs in the game, produced 321 yards of total offense, 271 yards rushing, 50 passing. That was the usual ratio back in those days. They were running teams, led by senior running back Tom Larscheid, who carried the ball 15 times, 64 yards, a couple of touchdowns. Senior quarterback Mel Montalvo rushed for a team-best 75 yards and 11 carries and a touchdown. And junior quarterback Jim Turner carried the ball 4 times, 4 yards and 1 touchdown. Junior running back Roger Leonard also scored on a 1-yard touchdown run. USU limited Washington State to 184 yards of total offense. Amazing. 180 passing, 4 yards rushing. Aggies, of course, led by senior tackle Merlin Olsen, who was awarded the Outland Trophy, by the way, at the end of the season as the best interior lineman in the nation. Washington State had a junior end, Hugh Campbell. He was first-team All-American that year. He had 6 catches against the Aggies for 83 yards. And 1 score. And the interesting thing, both of these teams lost 5 fumbles during the game, and both were penalized over 100 yards. You look back at 1961, so the Aggies overall 9-1-1, ranked 10th in the final Associated Press poll, which is USU's highest final ranking in school history. And as I said, it was also the team that was in school history that went undefeated. I think probably the last team to do that during the regular season, producing a 9-0-1 record, as I said, and then losing to Baylor 24-9 in the Gotham Bowl that was played at the Polo Grounds back in New York City. Merlin Olsen, consensus All-American that year, academic All-American as well, named a National Football Foundation Scholar Athlete. Senior running back Tom Larscheid was named Honorable Mention All-American, had a lot of great numbers in his years at Utah State. Aggies outscored opponents 387-78. In 1961, held 8 of the 11 opponents in less than 10 points. In fact, the 61 team held its opponents to just 7.8 points a game. Amazing. Still ranks as the second-best single-season mark in school history. In fact, 6.5 points allowed per game is the record, and that was the 1960 team that did that. Utah State's defense set 3 still-standing school records in 1961, limited opponents to just 139 yards of total offense. Can you believe that? 89 passing yards, 51 rushing yards per game. Amazing totals. Utah State had 7 players from the 1961 team that went on to play in the NFL, including a pair of first-round choices, Merlin Olsen and quarterback Mel Munson. Olsen was third overall, picked by the Rams in 1962, and spent his entire 15-year career with the Rams, 62 to 76. Munson was the seventh overall pick by the Rams in the 1964 draft, 16 years in the NFL, with the Rams and then the Lions and then the Seahawks and the Chargers and finally the Buffalo Bills. They had, three other high drafts from the 61 draft, Clyde Brock, Lionel Aldridge, who caught 2 passes in that Idaho game. Lionel Aldridge was a great defensive end in the heyday with the Packers, but there he was leading the Aggies with 2 catches in that game. Clark Miller, who became an outstanding offensive tackle for the 49ers. And there were 5 other Aggies from the 61 team drafted, quarterback Steve Schaefer and Jim McNaughton. Larscheid, as I mentioned, to the Eagles, but he went on to play in the Canadian League. And then Jim Turner, who spent his career in the NFL as a kicker with the Jets and the Denver Broncos after being drafted by the Redskins. Also, Terry Kaganen and Mel Montalvo were also drafted that year. So, Al, as I've gone through all of this information from a game so long ago, I'm reading again about these heroes of my youth. Like you, I grew up here in the Valley. These are among the first Aggie stars that I remember. And it was during this time that when I was about 12 years old, I realized they had a person, Carl Cloggis, who actually traveled with those Aggie football and basketball teams of the era, plugged in his radio equipment and described the game for us wherever he was, just as it was happening, right here on KVNU. And I know you knew Carl, but as a boy, he was your neighbor. I remember thinking, wouldn't that be a great job? Well, Al, it's been a great job for both of us, and great to look back on one of the many great performances of Aggie teams of the John Ralston, Tony Knapp era. Let's do another 50 years.
Okay, thanks a lot, Craig, for that. That's really good stuff. And yeah, Carl and my parents were really good friends, and that's how I got to know Carl in the neighborhood. And he and his wife have still been longtime friends, still living in Spokane, Washington, incidentally. He mentions the guys going to the pros. The Aggies have 7, it looks like, on NFL rosters for next week. Nick Vigil with Minnesota. Patrick Scales still with Chicago as a long snapper. Tyler Larson now with the Washington football team. Jordan Love, of course, with Green Bay, waiting for a chance to play. Bobby Wagner, who was, the 25th best player in the NFL, according to NFL Network this year. Kyler Fackrell now with the Los Angeles Chargers. And Jalen Davis with Cincinnati. Now, right now, Nevin Lawson is suspended for 2 games because of a performance-enhancing substance situation. JoJo Natson, a former Aggie, got signed on a practice squad after he got cut by Cleveland, and the same for Tipa Naliai, so the Packers are keeping an eye on him. Craig and I did go through those 15 different coaches and staffs that we have covered in our 50 years on the radio coverage with the Aggies. Blake Anderson's trying to break a real curse tonight. You have to go back 11 head coaches, 48 years since a new coach won his first game as an Aggie coach. Phil Kruger beat Weber State 10-3, September 15th, 1973. Now, in fairness, Frank Miley was the interim coach in the 2018 New Mexico Bowl, his first game, and won it. And then, of course, he was named last year to replace Gary Anderson. He lost his first game in that interim spot last year. Okay, we'll continue with our coaches segment as we continue on game day on both KVNU and The Fan. Thanks for joining with us. 9 o'clock kickoff, again, on the Pac-12 networks. It probably will not start live on the Pac-12 network because the other game's going to go long, and you'll have to pick it up through their app.
Hi, this is Ashley with LSS Insurance. The health insurance marketplace has reopened. This special enrollment period is available to everyone. If you have been adversely affected by COVID, lost coverage, need to make a change, or simply want to enroll, now is the time. We can help. Call 752-9493 to find out how much you could save. More tax credits are being offered. Greater cost sharing and coverage could start as soon as the 1st. Go to lssins.com or call 752-9493.
Summer is cruising by way too fast. It's already back to school time. Soon, you're going to start experiencing many special places and events that you won't forget, such as your first slide down Old Main Hill, attending Aggie football and basketball games, or a wild party at the How, and your first kiss on the Aggie Bowl. That might just lead to that extra special moment at Jarek's Fine Jewelry, Cache Valley's engagement ring store, where it's all about the romance. Just look for the bright green cars at 930 North Main Street.
Who do you turn to if you want to change out your wood or pellet stove? Advanced Fireplace and Stove was voted the gold medalist for Best of Northern Utah in the fireplace retrofit category. With the government's wood and pellet investment tax credit in place right now, they can help you navigate the paperwork on select models up to a 26% tax credit. That covers everything to have a new wood or pellet unit installed. For more information, call Advanced Fireplace and Stove 752-7272, online at advancedfireplaceandstove.com.
News Talk KVNU Logan, 102 FM and 610 AM.
Sports Talk Radio, KLGN Logan, 1069 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
The clock is ticking. Kickoff is 1 hour away. And it's time for KVNU Game Day. Sponsored by Alpine Home Medical, Advanced Heating and Air Conditioning, Les Olson Company, Jarek's Fine Jewelry, My Mattress, Elements Restaurant, Cache Valley Bank, Daryl's Appliance, Advanced Fireplace and Stove, Cache Valley Ear, Nose and Throat, White Pine Funeral Home, S.E. Needham Jewelers, Cache Valley Bank Mortgage, Castelite, and LSS Insurance. Now, to break down the game, here's the longtime voice of the Aggies, Al Lewis.
And we've got so much to share with you tonight. We are doing 2 hours. Most of our games this year before the games will be 1 hour. Next Friday night, when the Aggies are at home, we'll be on at 6 o'clock before the 7 o'clock game. So we'll do 1 hour before, and then we'll be an hour or 2 hours too long, depending on you how after the game, of course, with your calls, as Ryan Boehm and Eric Franson will join with me after the games as well. We'll get interviews from coaches and players. So the complete coverage, your local station where you can hear what's going on with Utah State all over this entire northern Utah, southern Idaho area. KVNU, long time, again, the tradition of the Aggie coverage. So this is what we can give you, and we'll take you up to the TV, which starts on the Pac-12 network at 9 o'clock. Will start on their app. Hey, did you watch Game Day this morning on ESPN? It's been a tradition of college football. And one of the big traditions of Game Day, since the middle of the 2003 year, the Washington State flag has appeared on every single show being flown above all those the crowd, wherever they're at. It started in Madison, Wisconsin, on October 18th of 2003. Now friends and alumni make sure it's all done. In fact, up at Pullman, they actually had Game Day there in 2018 when they beat Oregon, and so they had it there live. The guy who's responsible for this, they've honored him many times. It's been a big, big deal to have that flag, of course, of Washington State on all those game days, and you've seen it flying. And look for it next week if you didn't see it this week. You know, he wasn't a part of that 61 team. It was a little bit later on. Spain Musgrove played for the Aggies in 1965 and 66. He was an honorable mention All-American his senior year. He passed away recently at the age of 76, went on to play in the NFL for Washington, 67, 68, 69, claimed off waivers by the Oilers, and he played his final season there. He was born in Kansas City, came to Utah State from Bakersfield, California, junior college All-American. He began his career wearing number 79. He switched to 0-0 for his senior season. So he's the only player in school history to wear 0-0 as a football player, I think it was. Cornell Green was his cousin. I did not know that until they announced the death of, Spain Musgrove. Utah State has announced they'll play Texas A&M first part of September of 2025 season. So they will play at Alabama in 2022, Mississippi State in 2024, and that game with Texas A&M in 2025. Earlier today, Oregon 31, Fresno State 21, so Fresno State 1-1, but they were impressive in playing the 11th-ranked team in the nation. And Air Force did what they do. They beat Lafayette 35-14. Wyoming came back and beat Montana State 19-16, and it was USC 30, San Jose State 7. So up until now, the conference 5-6, and really the loss to Eastern Washington by UNLV, and then, of course, the loss last night by Colorado State to South Dakota State just doesn't look good for our conference. Last week, the San Jose quarterback Nick Starkel was named as the player of the week, and the conference has said if a team cannot play because of COVID, it'll be a forfeit in conference standings, even though the NCAA may not count that against them. So let's see. Let's get you updated on the other games going on right now. That big game, of course, with Clemson and Georgia. Georgia still leading 7-0 in the third quarter of that game. No other big shockers so far. I mean, Texas A&M over Kent State. Washington still leading Montana third quarter, just 7-3. UCLA has LSU 14-7 in the second period, but that's at the Rose Bowl. And again, big win by Alabama today in college football. BYU Arizona play at 8:30 on ESPN tonight. And, of course, our game starts at 9 on the Pac-12 network. So, and Bob Davies is going to be doing the game. The former New Mexico coach. I like Bob. I did. And, of course, down there he had a tough time ever winning. But Comcast 410 and also on Comcast 757 is high definition. Cox and Dish Network, it's on 406. It's also available, the Pac-12 network, on Frontier TV, on Fubo TV, Sling TV, Spectrum, and Vidgo. Fubo is offering a 7-day free trial. Sling is offering a $10 for your first month deal, so you might want to check that out to get it tonight from most places. It's not on DirecTV. That's kind of the major deal. So let's get on with our coaches segment.
I mean, they're great guys. I moved across country, 26 hours to come over here and in this beautiful state, in this beautiful city. But I think that what you're going to get is a lot of energy, and a lot of faith, and a lot of family involved. And a lot of coaches say that, but he actually lived it. I mean, there was not one aspect of my 5-year career at Arkansas State. There was never family involved. And whatever he says, he's always been true to his word and stuff like that. So I think you're going to get whatever he says, he's going to do, and he's going to bring a lot of energy to the program, and I'm really excited about this year.
Logan Bonner talking about Blake Anderson and, again, his way of doing things as we get to our coaches segment. Brought to you by Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat. You know, headaches and migraines have debilitating effects on your daily performance. Cache Valley ENT can help relieve your pain. Go to CacheValleyENT.com for details. That's CacheValleyENT.com, bringing you our coaches segment. The anticipated start of the Blake Anderson years here in Logan. As we've said, high energy, hard working, big on recruiting so far. And in-state recruiting is exciting for the future. He's established the second youngest staff in all of college football. 10 full-time. There are 4 in their 20s, 4 more in their 30s, and 2 in their 40s. Average age is 33.7. Only Old Dominion is younger. They're the most diverse, only team in the country with minority coordinators in Anthony Tucker, Ephraim Bonda, and the strength and conditioning coach, Paul Jackson. Bonda, it's kind of spelled like Banda, but he's Hispanic Latino, the only defensive coordinator in the nation with that title. He's a top 25 recruiter, says Rivals.com. 32 people are in the football department, and it's the only people that really you probably recognize names of, Aggie fans, are Chucky Keaton, the running back coach, and then DJ Tialavea, the tight end coach, and Al Lapawahu, the defensive line coach. The rest of them, we mentioned Tucker. Nick Paremski is the special teams quarterback. He also coaches outside linebackers. Kyle Cefalo is the wide receiver and pass coordinator coach. We've got Mike Zuckerman, who is the inside linebacker coach, and Ray Brown, you've heard from him, the cornerback coach. They have 2 other analysts in Jumaine Robertson and Austin Albrecht, who are former Aggie players. 6 others are in administrative jobs. So there are 4 other offensive coaches. They help 4 other defensive coaches. There are 32 people in the athletic department or in the football department, and only 3 were around here. Only 2, or 3 back from last year. And again, Chucky Keaton would add into that, and those former players, I guess, would be about that. So here is Blake Anderson coming to Utah State. And what's interesting is he feels, again, this is a very spiritual guy. He feels like he was guided here.
I feel like, everything happens, so fast. The year before, I was committed to getting through the season and finishing it and just kind of praying about it and seeing where God was leading me. It became more and more evident to me and my kids that as we got towards the end of the season, that it was personally I needed to change, that it was in my best interest to just look for a new start, as much personally as professionally. Professionally, I mean, I felt like we're in good shape and we're on a good, moving in a good direction. This was more about me personally, just feeling like I needed to separate myself from all the visual cues I was seeing every day that were just really hard to deal with. And so I think anybody that's lost somebody like that would understand that. This was a blessing that I wasn't expecting, to be truthful. Didn't know exactly what that next step was going to be. And to me, when this opportunity presented itself, it just, to me, it was just an answer prayer. So.
Answer of prayers in December. Earlier this year, he married Brittany and adopted her 2 daughters to go with the 2 sons and a daughter he had from Wendy, his wife he's talking about, how hard it was down there in Jonesboro. She died after a 3-year cancer battle. They had been married 27 years. So that's why 2020 was a hard year for the coach. He is rejuvenated, revved up for this shot with the Aggies in this opener. But does he have concerns about his team into this?
No, this is about us. To be honest with you, you're going to think I'm crazy. I have not spent a whole lot of time worrying about Washington State. I'm worried about us at this point. I want to make sure we have our best team ready to go, try to fix our issues. In every first game of the season, every bit of the opponent work you put in is guesswork. Anything can change over the offseason. They can play anybody they want to. They can change scheme. They can change anything. So we really just need to focus on us and what we need for a bigger picture of the future. It's a long season, and we want to make sure that we've been very, very thoughtful about who we're going to let lead the program, and no bigger decision than who the quarterback's going to be.
And again, we'll wait and see what happens there. Still, Washington State is a tough first game, the coach says, for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah, that's always a challenge, and I found it hard to prepare for an opponent, even when you do have film, because you just don't know what changes and adjustments they've made in the offseason. What new additions do they have? What tweaks have they made? You really have to focus on what you can control, and that's you. We got to be in the best shape we can possibly be in. We've got to know our systems inside and out, and then we're going to have to make some adjustments on the run. I mean, we've looked at what we can based off of where the coaches come from and the systems that they've run, even if it's coming from a different university. In a couple of these cases, we're really even looking at film that has nothing to do with Washington State, looking at the other programs that they coach and try to get the best guess, but that's really what it is. Every game one for any opponent is a guess. We just got to control us and play the best, highest energy, best effort, cleanest, mistake-free football that we can play. And if we do that, then it gives us a great opportunity to win.
So you just heard what Blake Anderson's talking about first game. It sounds like the same from Nick Rolovich because, we just spelled out where the coaching staff was for the Aggies, and these guys were in a lot of different places a year ago, Coach Rolovich.
I do think that brings a little bit more of a challenge. Especially, he brought some guys that he worked with. He brought some guys from different programs. So it lended itself to us studying a bunch of people. And I think there'll be some good discussions game day to kind of get an idea of what's going on both sides of the ball. We're pretty confident they'll use a high level of tempo. So preparing for that has been emphasized, but there's some some Ark State defense, definitely the Ark State offense, and looked at kind of some of the other film where the other guys came from.
And again, Rolovich, now it looks like Jarrett Garantano will be his quarterback. Garantano again has been at Tennessee, of course. Blake Anderson is not really saying if it is Bonner or if it is Peasley. I think a lot of us are feeling it will be Bonner in the first play. We'll have to wait and see. But could he play both of them?
Very real chance that both play. We let live football kind of dictate where we head from there. I feel like this is bigger than one game. Honestly, it's bigger than one game or one person. So we want to make sure we got the right guy leading the program for the future, for the rest of the season. And so not going to rush it. And that could be a game time decision, or it could be a result of how these guys handle live action on game day. So we'll just have to play it one day at a time.
Whichever the quarterback faces the defense, I think Coach Anderson and the Aggies feel like it's a better defense than what the numbers would show from last year.
Well, I don't think they're afraid to get up in your face. They've got 2 6'2" corners. Would not surprise me if they're up in our face playing press coverage. There's a junior or senior or redshirt junior and senior at all 11 positions with one of the best linebackers that we're going to likely see all year long in Woods. So it would not surprise me if they are up in our face, really just very competitive, very aggressive style of defense. And we're going to have to be able to win in one-on-one situations to have a good day offensively.
So the keys to watch tonight, sponsored by S. Olson Company. Get your free network assessment at lesolson.com, of course, to stay away from security situations that can be compromised in your business. Let's start with the Aggies first in this game.
But I do think it starts up front for them on both sides, and the experience level that they have is something that we just don't have right now. We got a lot of guys playing some of their first ball, and we're going to have to grow up very, very quickly.
And Blake Anderson, Nick Rolovich, how about Washington State's view into this game?
Well, I think, conditioning wise, the defense and keeping, their wits about them as things go fast. I think that will be important. Kind of in that back seven, getting a line and making sure we're covering down and just, obeying the rules of the defense, playing hard. We're going to have to tackle really well in space. They like to try to get their guys in space, and we're going to have to make sure we get them down, and be ready for the shots. They're not afraid to take shots, and at least we know that going in.
And Rolovich's team, the Washington State Cougars, the favorites tonight at home. They have won 18-3 the last 3 seasons, again, with their football program at home. And again, now after COVID, they get full capacity at their Martin Stadium tonight. Could be 32,000 there. So a little bit of pressure on some of these guys who maybe played last year, Coach, without fans, and then they go into this year a little hyped up.
I mean, I guess that could always happen. I think the leaders of this team have really accepted and brought the young guys along. I don't think the stage – I think they're really focused on the right thing. I don't know that will happen, but if it does, we'll adjust on game day and see if whether it's myself, the coaches, or some of the leaders of the team can kind of zero people back in on the mission at hand.
Utah State actually played in this stadium October 23rd of 1999. Lost the game to Idaho that day, 31-3. The year that the Vandals were playing there, because 8 miles away, the Kibbe Dome was being renovated in Moscow, Idaho. That's how close those universities are. So the Aggies have played in the stadium and got beat. Let's hope, again, they can find a way to beat a Pac. They've never beaten an Pac-8, Pac-10, Pac-12 team on the road. Again, they'd like to do that in this situation tonight. Next up, another Know Your Aggie feature. One of the assistant coaches we just mentioned, the wide receiver passing game coordinator, Kyle Cefalo. We'll have more on game day as we are, again, on both the Fan and KVNU, and we will be right back.
S.E. Needham Jewelers is where Utah gets engaged. We offer a large selection of personalized service and extraordinary benefits with our integrity price guarantee. At Match Quality, you'll find our prices to be as low or lower than any store in the state. We consistently beat any 50 to 70% off sales, internet pricing, or so-called wholesale deals. In fact, we even price our diamonds at internet pricing, so you'll get S.E. Needham quality at internet prices. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 7, where Utah gets engaged. S.E. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block, at the sign of the clock.
I'm here with Jay Broadbent from Alpine Home Medical. Jay, I hear your ads for CPAP resupply all the time. What do I need to do to just get that taken care of?
It's easy. We can set up your CPAP resupply within a few minutes. We'll work out all the insurance for you, and then we'll start mailing the supplies straight to your door. You can even chat with a CPAP specialist online. Just visit us at alpinehomemedical.com. We'll have you sleeping better in no time.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Old McDarrell has a farm and appliance farm
with down-home country prices and big city selection.
E-I-E-I-O. When you're looking for a friendly spot to drive a little and save a lot, hey, Old McDarrell has a farm and appliance farm. Darrell's Appliance. Low overhead, but lots of country charm. See Darrell's Appliance in beautiful downtown Benson.
The clock is ticking and Aggie football is getting closer. It's KVNU Game Day.
We like to get to know our Aggies, even the coaches. So, Coach Cefalo, I'm going to throw a lot of random stuff. There are no wrong answers, okay?
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, now if you weren't coaching football, what else would you be doing?
I would probably own my own restaurant somewhere, and that's something I've always wanted to do.
Really? What kind of restaurant?
You know, kind of just a casual bar grill type place where really good food and, you know, a bunch of TVs, bunch of games on, hopefully on a good setting, maybe a lake or a beach or something like that. But I could see myself, if I'm not enjoying what I love right now, I could see myself enjoying that as well. So that's honestly something I've always thought about.
Okay. Kyle Cefalo, the restaurateur.
Yes.
Okay. Favorite snack?
I try not to eat too terribly, but it's hard to pass up donuts, especially like in town. We got some incredible donut spots, and just every now and then people will bring some to the office, and I simply can't can't really refuse. I like to think I have some self-discipline, but when it comes to donuts, I got no chance.
I'm with you. Okay, finish this sentence. First thing I do when I go home is?
I sit on the couch. I usually turn the TV on, maybe whatever I'm watching at the time on Netflix. If it's Apple TV, and especially right now, I'm turning on Ted Lasso. That show has me captivated right now. We get home late sometimes, but I try not to go right to bed. I try to take some time and just decompress a little bit, just sit on the couch and, maybe think a little bit about the day, but maybe just try to relax my brain a little bit. Usually a good show like Ted Lasso, that's kind of fun-loving and uplifting. Usually it puts me in a good place before bed.
That's good. Okay, last question. Which player is the biggest trash talker in practice?
Ooh, that's a good one right there. I mean, honestly, you could probably, if we're talking players, I would say, with a wide outside of the ball, it might be Justin McGriff, one of my guys. On the defensive side of the ball, I'm always hearing Cam Lampkin. I'm always hearing Shaq. When we're talking about coaches, I'm sure you'd probably say myself or Coach Brown, which makes sense because I coach the wideouts, he coaches the DBs. We have a lot of fun with it. We do, and we know when we are talking to each other. And Coach Brown's always talking about wideouts and stuff, but he teaches them a lot too, and he talks about defensive technique and what they're doing. And I try to do the same with some of his guys. So in the midst of the fun-loving of it all, it's all healthy and it's all good, and it just shows. Those are some competitive kids that I named, and I love it. So as long as it's all playful and nothing gets personal, man, which we do a great job of. It's kind of part of the game, and we really enjoy it. It's definitely part of those two positions. I can promise you that.
Wide receivers coach Kyle Cephalo, thanks so much.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Also, the passing game coordinator. He was with Blake Anderson 4 years at Jonesboro. Before that, he was at Maryland and Boise State. He was a Colorado wide receiver in his day. But you know what? He was a walk-on to the program there after baseball didn't work out for him at Oregon State. And he's a native of Boston. So there you go. We're filling in you lots of information. And Know Your Aggies tonight brought to you by Cache Valley Bank's Smithfield location. They're having their second anniversary on the 15th of September. Stop in after the Skyview Homecoming Parade for food and prizes again at the Smithfield location of Cache Valley Bank. And you know what? Coach Cephalo likes the versatility of the guys he's got catching the ball that he's coaching.
Yeah, I think we do. I mean, a guy like Justin McGriff, who's 6'5.5", and that presents matchup problems right away. Savon Scarver's, shown his speed and the ability to be dynamic in the kick return game, and I think he continuously can prove that as a wideout as well. And he's done a really good job and really good depth on the inside with Devin and Brandon and Kyle and Nana to be able to rotate a bunch of guys that can really run. They're all really smart. They know the playbook. They're learning. And they make tough catches and contested catches. So I like another kid that can't go unmentioned is Derek Wright. He's been really, really, really productive. He's big, he's strong, really smart.
No doubt about it. Athletic talent for the Aggies or any team has to be the receivers and the defensive backs. All the receivers return with Devin Tompkins, Jordan Nathan, Savon Scarver leading the list. But play after play in spring in those two fall scrimmages, here's sophomore Kyle Van Leeuwen. Didn't really play much, but I'll tell you what, the head coach is expecting a lot of him now.
He can play. I mean, he did it all spring. Doesn't surprise me anymore. We've got several guys I think that can do that, and I think they're doing a really good job of feeding off each other. Quarterbacks have a tremendous amount of confidence in them, so he did what I kind of expected him to do at this point.
We talked about Dimitriak Aliafua, of course. He is a brother of a former player. Kyle Van Leeuwen actually just wants to keep up the family's name. Travis, of course, 2010 through 13. Zach from 2015 to 2017 receivers for the Aggies.
It's awesome. I mean, I love I love that they played here and then I can continue it. And I love having had my brothers played here. It's been awesome to be able to watch them in the past. I've been in the stadium plenty of times, so it's home. But now it's my turn, and just got to prove who I am out of my brothers. And we always make the joke, who's going to be the best? So that's what I got to try and do, is just be the best and continue the legacy.
The offensive coordinator is Anthony Tucker. 4 offensive coordinators now in 4 seasons. He comes from coaching with Josh Heupel, the former Aggie offensive coordinator himself. And as you heard him earlier, he has weapons that he needs, wide receivers, a committee of running backs, the offensive line, again, and he even says the tight end position is important.
Well, I mean, we'll use a tight end. If you got tight ends, it really helps in the run game, of course. If you got a guy you can throw it to, you'd love to throw it to that guy. Obviously they're involved in protection. That's really, really invaluable, piece to what we do offensively, because if you have a good tight end core, it allows you to do more.
And again, the Aggies hope to be able to do more and all that. And the tight end, of course, is Carson Terrell. As we mentioned, he has a former teammate in Cameron Cooper. It's on the Washington State team. And you could tell when he talked to Ajay Salveson, who's on the full court press afternoons on the Fan, he was excited to have this chance to go up against Wazoo.
Oh, I cannot wait, because, like we were talking about earlier, my quarterback from high school plays at Washington State. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I'll have to get in Coach Anderson's ear to let me play some defense.
There you go.
So, but yeah, I'm stoked. I mean, we got a good schedule lined up. We played BYU early. We're coming right out of the gate against some good competition, good teams. We played Boise State early. We played Air Force early. I mean, those are teams we usually play mid-year or towards the end. So there's no filling out process this year. You know what I mean? We're going to get thrown into the fire, and I think me and as well as the rest of the team is really looking forward to it.
Even next week, North Dakota is the opponent here. They beat Idaho State today in Pocatello by 35-14, so they're capable coming in here next Friday night. Devin Tompkins says this Cougars defensive secondary will come after you. He kind of likes that.
I'm very excited. I saw that they like to play man coverage a lot, so that'll be good for us to show what we can do when it's one-on-one as a receiving core. I think that this is kind of the perfect matchup for us to really show our abilities and our potential as a receiver group as well.
And then all four of the Aggies secondary starters are back. That could be, I guess, a good or bad situation when you look back at last year. But in Cam Lampkin, Andre Grayson, Zahadri Jackson, Dominic Tatum, even Shaq Bond, you have guys, of course, who have seen Utah State good and also have seen him struggling. And Bond is one who said he could not leave after the year they had last year.
Just for the love of the game, and plus, we won one last year with our brothers and then go out on a winning streak. So that was the reason a lot of us came back.
And then when the coaching staff changes at all, how has that worked?
It's been great. The coach has been great. We love them. They've been very helpful for us, and they've transformed a lot. So we're very prepared for this upcoming season.
Are you happy when the coach names the defensive coordinator as a guy who's going to coach safeties too? Does that help you?
Yes, sir. Me and Coach Bond, we have a real nice relationship.
And at safety, is it an interchangeable position? Are we a strong safety, free safety type defense, or can you play both? Do you play a third safety position back there? What does it work like with our defense?
There's going to be a lot of different angles a lot of different coverages. We're going to be running a lot of different type. Formations and things like that. So you might see two safeties, you might see three, so you never really truly know.
Mm-hmm. So it's a physical position, but also you have to be athletic too, all the way along. It looks like to me if you're rolling as a defense, it could be a fun spot to play and rolling around the field. Is it? And tell us a little bit about the spot.
No, it's definitely fun to play, especially when things are working out. It reminds me a lot of baseball because I play center field, so it's usually sideline to sideline technically. So it's really nothing different from baseball. It's just getting a guy down now, and then just making it to the ball.
Mm-hmm. And there's some new guys in the. And again, we're talking to Shaq Bond. We'll have more from him later on. Again, number 4, still he is this year, playing that safety spot. Great to have him back because, again, he could have left the program. Andre Grayson?
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. Shaq's a baller for sure, and obviously a lot of experience. It's good. It makes me feel comfortable knowing that there's experience back there. He knows what he's doing, and just with all the guys that are older, coming back, it's like, man, that could have been it. Last year could have been it for a lot of them, but we're back, and it feels good to be back and going at it another year with those guys.
Already a graduating senior himself in, again, Andre Grayson. And Shaq Bond does have that transfer. Hunter Reynolds right behind him at that safety spot. And Eric Franson talks to him next in our next segment of Game Day here on KVNU and The Fan. We'll be right back.
If you're in the market for exterior building supplies, you should always go with a company you trust. Coldwater Stone in Tremonton, a division of Castellite in Logan, is a company you can trust. Coldwater Stone specializes in cutting and shaping beautiful natural stone into thin veneers that can be used on wall surfaces, walkways, and more. Coldwater Stone in Tremonton has quickly become the industry leader for natural stone products. Stop into the Tremonton facility or see samples at Castellite in Logan. More information at www.coldwaterstone.com.
Coldwater Stone, a natural choice for all your stone needs.
This is Ryan at My Mattress. Only 30 seconds to tell you about the ridiculous deals on mattresses for our biggest sale of the year, the Labor Day sale. Queen pillow top mattresses start at $299. Twins only $69. American-made Minky weighted blankets are half off. Truckload purchase of a Queen latex pillow top only $9.99. Free adjustable base on IntelliBed and up to $700 off Tempur-Pedic. And one last thing, up to 5 years no interest financing available. The Labor Day sale at My Mattress. Isn't it time to sleep exceptionally?
We love being in Smithfield and making it easy for our friends and customers to do their banking. Hi, this is Danny Hansen, branch manager at Cache Valley Bank in Smithfield. If you don't bank with us, I invite you to discover what a great financial partner you'll find in Cache Valley Bank. I'm anxious to get to know you and invite you to stop by and say hello. Now celebrating our second year in Smithfield, located on the corner of Center and Main, Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
Talking about Aggie football like no one else can. KVNU Game Day is back with a voice of the Aggies, Al Lewis.
And also on The Fan, we're doing this one before the game on the Pac-12 networks again coming up tonight at 9 o'clock. It'll kick off a little after 9. This game that's on before on the Pac-12 network will probably go long, and they will start on an app, and they'll have some other places where you can find it. And I'm sure if you don't have it on, you don't have DirecTV and you can't get it anyhow, there'll be somebody who'll tell you where you can get it on the internet to watch Utah State, Washington State tonight. Our former coach, Matt Wells, in a real tussle with Houston tonight. Right now, Texas Tech has taken the lead in that game, and they're driving to get close to another score. Remember, Henry Colombi did transfer to Texas Tech last year and was a part of the team at times during the COVID season. He is not quarterbacking this game. The other quarterback is still in there. I believe is the guy who started last year. But Texas Tech is down inside the 5-yard line now, leading 24-21 with about 3 minutes to go in that game. And Clemson's just kicked a field goal, so 10-3 with Georgia leading Clemson with about 9 minutes to play. So that game's still very much up in the air. Number of games, again, are starting with our conference teams involved here right at the the 8:30 hour. You've got Nevada at California, New Mexico State at San Diego State. Nevada, California is on FS1. New Mexico State and San Diego State's on the CBS Sports Network. And then Portland State and Hawaii start at 10 o'clock, and our game starts at 9. BYU and Arizona also starting on ESPN, and their game is after this Texas Tech-Houston game from the new Allegiant Stadium down there in Las Vegas. So it kind of gives you an update of things going on. It's still 7-3 Washington over Montana in the third quarter. So that game is still close. And now let's get back to talking about the Aggies and Washington State.
I learned that I'm mentally tougher than I thought. Definitely learned that, there's always ups and downs, but I definitely have learned that when I sit down and I self-reflect and realize what I'm trying to obtain and my goals this season, that there's really nothing that can stop me or knock off my focus when I'm locked in on what I want to do.
So again, Andre Grayson right there, part of that secondary experience group that's coming back for the Aggies after the COVID season last year. Did you know this week the story came out, a former player at Washington State contends in a lawsuit his civil rights were violated when he was kicked off the football team because he complained about potential exposure to COVID-19, and he joined an association of black students up on campus. Cassidy Woods of Addison, Texas, filed the lawsuit in federal court in Dallas. He contends he was the victim of racism by Coach Nick Rolovich and by the Pullman-based university when he was kicked off the team last year. He seeks actual and punitive damages set by the court. We'll see how far that goes. He now is playing at Northern Colorado. And, of course, this week, the breaking news looks like this next week, BYU will be a part of the Big 12 Conference with Cincinnati, Houston, who right now is playing this close game with Texas Tech, and Cincinnati will probably join the Big 12 teams that are left over to be the new Big 12, as it looks like most sources think that will happen as of Friday. All right, we have this core of 14 super seniors that could have been done, but they come back to get the 1-5 COVID year out of their minds. 5 are already four-year lettermen: Ali Afua, Carson Terrell, Savon Scarver, Kevin Metzenheimer, and Jordan Nathan. But no doubt, towards a turnaround season, these 15 four-year transfers have to really help the Aggies, again, coming from other schools. Brandon Bowling and Logan Bonner and Justin Rice from Arkansas State. Quazell Wright will start at right tackle for the Aggies from TCU. He's one of 5 Washington players, incidentally, on the team. He is from Tacoma. You've got Jacob South, the right tackle on the offensive line, who's of Anacortes in Washington. A.J. Von Bachong, the inside linebackers from Pasco. So those are the guys there. And then Calvin Tyler, of course, was a running back who transferred here from Oregon State, so he's played against them before. Chucky Keaton was the guy who helped recruit him to Oregon State, so it was an easy deal for him to get him to Utah State. He'll be a part of this running back by committee. Defensive end Patrick Joyner Jr. was at Miami with the defensive coordinator Ephraim Bonda. And then the other defensive end that could help is Byron Vaughns at Texas. He was before. We're hoping he will be able to play. The coach was saying earlier this week.
He's going to be a game-time decision. He is still day-to-day, improving greatly. It's going to be one of those risk-reward kind of conversations. He'll tell you right now, if you ask him, he's ready to go. We're going to have to weigh the risk of injury that might keep him out for a long period of time. He is very, very close. I can see him playing on Saturday, but I also see us holding him if we feel he is just not quite there. So it's going to be it'll be an argument nonetheless, because I know where his heart is and that he wants to play and he makes us better. But we're going to be very strategic about the season when we make that decision, and it may come during pregame.
Byron Vaughns we're talking about. If you're a social media person, you see the interest that the fans now have in this guy, because he's got comments and updates all over the place. He's taken, again, everybody inside the Aggie locker room and some of the thoughts there and all that stuff. It's been kind of fun to read about Byron Vaughns. Now, we heard we've got two defensive players in Philip Paye, who's a defensive tackle, and safety Hunter Reynolds, who were with Jim Harbaugh at Michigan on his squad. And now Eric Frandsen again talked about a week ago or so with Hunter Reynolds, who's got 2 years to play here. He'll be number 27.
First, what brought you to Utah State? You're one of a pretty good number of transfers who decided to come to Utah State. So what brought you to the Aggies?
When I first entered the portal and Utah State contacted me, I did a little bit of research, see who the defensive coaches were. Saw Coach Bonda was coming over from Miami, and I knew they had a great defense there. And just learning his system, like seeing the system they were running while I was watching film, like kind of throughout the spring, that really enticed me. It looked like a really good system for me and my abilities, and it looked like a system that I knew that would be successful for the entire defense.
You're not the only guy from Michigan to come over here. So did you guys have any conversations about coming together?
So I entered the portal before Phil did, and I made a decision to come here before he did. And he was just asking me questions like, what do you think about the coaching staff? What do you think about Logan, Utah? Because we were still in COVID, obviously, so we didn't have a chance to make a trip out here and kind of visit. So a lot of it was just online research, but he was asking me just a lot of questions. And yes, that kind of, having the opportunity to go to a new environment, but with someone you knew, that kind of appeased both of us, and that's how we both ended up here.
When did you first arrive here in Logan?
Beginning of June.
Okay. So you've been able to be here through the off-season conditioning, everything that, and then fall camp's going. So how your assessment of how the defense is coming together for Utah State?
I think the defense is coming along really well. I knew when I first got here we were having player-run practices, and I could just tell that a lot of guys knew what they were doing because they were coaching me, and they say the best way to learn something is when you can teach someone else how to do it. So they were teaching me throughout the summer, putting me in a position to where once I got to camp, I knew what I was doing. But more importantly, you could just tell guys were locked in, they were bought in. This is like really important to all of us. I wasn't here last year, but last year wasn't the season that Utah State would have wanted. And you could tell guys like really have a hunger about them, and they want to make sure that this year is the best year possible.
This is a situation where there's guys that get extra years to come back. So there's some guys here who have been here for quite a while, and we've got a mix of guys like you that just have been able to transfer and show up. How's that mix working out between guys that have been in the system for a while and a lot of these new faces?
I think it's working out well. Obviously, you have the guys who have been here, but this is a new coaching staff, so this is kind of a chance for all of us to have a fresh start. These might be different techniques than we did in the past, but you could really tell everyone's trying really hard to make those improvements every day, get 1 degree better, and make sure that we're doing things the way the coaches want us to do them.
And there seems to be a lot of depth and real talent in that secondary for Utah State this year. What's your assessment of how that's working out and how you fit into it?
We're definitely a great group. I think we go, multiple guys deep at each position. We have guys that work hard. We have guys that can run, cover, hit. We're, like I said, we're taking it day by day, trying to just learn the techniques Coach Bonda wants us to do and making sure that we do it to the best of our abilities and that we play hard.
And then finally, just game one at Washington State is coming up quick. What still needs improvement from your observation?
I think, the little details here and there, we can lock down on them. We're still installing stuff, so making sure that we're just clean on everything, making sure that the stuff that we were doing the first couple of days at camp don't get lost on us, and, we stay locked into those things the way we're locked into whatever we learn today or tomorrow. So just, those little focus points, make sure that we don't make a small mistake that seems minor, but in the grand scheme of things can, cost us a play in a game.
Again, number 27, he's listed as a backup right now. Maybe we should check S.E. Needham Jewelers starting lineup. Of course, they're now introducing the lab-grown diamonds. These are man-made diamonds that cost considerably less than the natural diamonds, but they're incredibly beautiful as well. Where Utah gets engaged, S.E. Needham Jewelers always where you start your marriages with those diamond engagement ring sets. So Nick Henniger, Marcus Moore, Hale Motua-Apuaka, and Patrick Joyner Jr. on the front line. Jalen Bannerman and, Paye and even Vaughns, if he can play, will play on that front line. Then at linebacker, A.J. Von Bachong, probably, or Kevin Metzenheimer, opposite Justin Rice, the transfer from Arkansas State, who used to be an all-conference player in this conference from Fresno. Cash Gilliam will be the striker. Zahadri Jackson and Cam Lampkin will be on the corners, and Dominic Tatum and Shaq Bond, the safeties. Quarterback, again, like we're guessing, maybe Logan Bonner, but again, we'll see. Peasley, maybe he'll play. At running back, it's all a committee. Calvin Tyler, John Gentry expected to be out at the start of the game, one of those two. Savon Scarver will be one outside receiver. The other is Justin McGriff. The inside receiver, again, Devin Tompkins for the Aggies, the tight end Carson Terrell, and then Jacob South and Alfred Edwards, one of the captains in this game at tackle, Dimitrik Aliafua, and Quazell White at guards, and then Chandler Dolphin, the center for S.E. Needham Jewelers. And obviously the big name over on that defensive side for the Aggies is a guy who has a lot of experience, again, in playing football in this conference and some of these teams, and going up against Nick Rolovich, we heard earlier, Justin Rice.
I've been just trying to improve every day. Being a 6-year linebacker, I've seen a lot of football, played a lot of football, been in a lot of different schemes, and I just keep learning from the coaches. Players here have played different schemes. They've been teaching me as well. So the more information you can gather, the more snaps you can play, the better you can become.
I think, defensive coordinator is not the guy you played for last year, but is it similar type defense to what you played at Arkansas State, or what?
No, different. I was closer to what we're playing here at Fresno.
Okay. And so this is more kind of going back to that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Do things come back when you've played it before, or how does that work?
Yeah, a lot of the schemes and schematics of things kind of play the same. Run fits, pass drops, they all kind of play the same. So the more you can carry over and remember, the easier it is.
And Justin Rice says he is, and the defense is ready to be what, again, Coach Bonda wants, fast and physical.
Yeah, definitely. We've definitely gelled over the last couple of weeks of fall camp. A lot of time spent together, a lot of reps spent together. So going to go out on Saturday and really show what we've been working on, and we're definitely physically ready. We've Coach Jackson's done a great job all summer getting us ready, getting our bodies ready. Coach A's done a great job taking care of us through camp, so we're mentally and physically ready to go out and win this game.
Coach Jackson, Paul Jackson, the strength and conditioning coach. So, again, it's Justin Rice, one inside backer spot, and you got then A.J. and Kevin Metzenheimer, who played a lot at the other spot. What do you think of them?
Both great dudes, both great football players. They both bring different things to the football field. Kev brings a lot of experience. He's played a lot of football. He's been here for a lot of time, so his football knowledge is really high. And AJ just brings a lot just based on the fact that he was a D end. So he can really bring pressure from depth, and we can walk him up and do some things like that just to give a different look with him on the field. Both those guys are going to help us immensely, and I'm excited to watch them play.
So they got lots more other game notes, pregame comments coming up, a few more score updates before we get to Utah State, Washington State, Pac-12 Network at 9, or they'll probably start on an app or somewhere else with that other game going a little bit longer. Game day does continue. It's on The Fan and KVNU, and we'll be right back.
The Riverwoods Conference Center is the center in Cache Valley for business, entertainment, and special events. Whether you're hosting a large or small event, you have the choice of inside with all the new modern interior renovations or outside along the scenic banks of the beautiful Logan River. The Riverwoods is an ideal choice, offering seamless planning, easy catering coordination, and will make your event as professional or as beautiful as desired. To book your next event or for more info, visit theriverwoods.com or call 435-750-5151. We'll see you at the Riverwoods.
Who do you turn to if you want to change out your wood or pellet stove? Advanced Fireplace and Stove was voted the gold medalist for Best of Northern Utah in the fireplace retrofit category. With the government's wood and pellet investment tax credit in place right now, they can help you navigate the paperwork on select models, up to a 26% tax credit. That covers everything to have a new wood or pellet unit installed. For more information, call Advanced Fireplace and Stove, 752-7272, online at advancedfireplaceandstove.com.
Ascent Aesthetics is throwing a parking lot party Monday, September 13th from 4 to 8. The first 50 people receive gift bags. Enjoy food trucks, prizes every 15 minutes, live demos, and you can win amazing treatments like Botox, skincare, laser hair removal, and microneedling. Special pricing is available on all purchases. Join Ascent Aesthetics Monday, September 13th from 4 to 8 at 169 North Gateway Drive, Providence. Prizes, fun, and food. Go to AscentAesthetics.com. That's AscentAesthetics.com for more details. Ascent Aesthetics looks forward to meeting you.
KVNU Game Day returns with a voice of the Aggies, Al Lewis.
Yeah, take a shower with the lights off before I go to sleep.
Shower with the lights out. It happened either, I guess, last night or this morning. That's what Nick Rolovich, the coach at Washington State, says is part of his game day routine, his traditions, things that he has to do around game day. It's actually a part, he said, of June Jones's teaching of him and his training on meditating and seeing the game and all the details. He, of course, had it in his playing days, and now he's moved it into his coaching days as Nick Rolovich is in charge of these Cougars. He was 0-2 at Hawaii against Utah State. And like we mentioned earlier, the Aggies have never beaten, again, a Pac-8, 10, or 12 school on the road. But Coach Rolovich knows enough about Utah State that he says they can make it happen.
The quality of coaching staff, the tempo, and the uncertainties that we won't know until game day. That's special teams, too. I think I think they can cause problems on special teams.
Interesting, going back to Justin Rice. Again, he has experience against Rolovich as a player at Fresno State.
You know, playing at a bunch of different schools, I had the opportunity to play against the head coach and kind of the scheme he runs. So we've been really focusing on the type of passing schemes they really throw at you and then the little run variations that they have just to throw you off, just to keep you honest. So they're definitely going to try a pass first, and we've got a good game plan to take care of that, and we're trying to get after quarterback.
And again, both teams have had a quarterback battle, as we said, going into this game. It looks like, again, Jarrett Garantano will be the quarterback at Washington State. And again, Devin Tompkins does fill us in, though, that we have two good quarterbacks, and he talked a little bit about both of them, Bonner and Peasley.
They're both some dogs. You know, they both can play really good. I think they both have a different strength in each other. So for Peasley, for example, you know, he can use his legs really well. You know, he's a fast and he can get down the field and make those big plays with his legs. And he still has a good ball to a great ball. And Logan's more of a pocket passer, but he's accurate with his pocket passing and stuff. So, you know, they both bring something different to the table. And honestly, it doesn't really matter to me who's back there. At the end of the day, you know, we catch balls from both of them every single day. So it's just what we do.
Devin Tompkins, wide receiver. The wide receiver passing game coordinator, Kyle Cefalo, actually says the two quarterbacks, with the plan of at least maybe 9 slots or wideouts playing in tonight's game, has actually been very, very good in practice.
No, it's been really good. I think it starts with Coach Tucker and I's relationship. You know, he coached me when I was in college. My first GA job was for him at Arkansas State with the wide receivers. We spent time at the University of Maryland together. And honestly, over the past 10 to 12 years, we've become really good friends, and we've always found time to spend time with one another outside of football and different things like that. So I think that relationship, you know, I think it rubs off on the players. I think they know that. I think they know that we enjoy coming to work every day with each other, and the quarterbacks as well and the wideouts. I mean, it's a really just comfortable relationship. Everyone enjoys himself, but everyone's working for jobs and everyone wants to compete, and we know that. And in the midst of us enjoying ourselves and enjoying our work, you know, there's like we always say, there's kind of money on the line at all times, and wideouts want the ball, and quarterbacks want to be out there. So some really, really healthy competition going on.
And he talks about guys who are really competing and are playing physical, and we haven't heard that a lot about Aggie wide receivers before. That's kind of a good note, because, again, Devin Tompkins says this wide receiver group is it like a group that he's seen before at Utah State?
I think this is definitely the fastest and most versatile group of wide receivers I've had since I've been here. Like you have Justin McGriff, who's 6'6", but he can run routes like, he's my height, like 5'9". So it's like, and then you got Savon Scarver, who can stretch the field just like me, and also is a longer body. You got Jordan Nathan, who's going to make great possession catches, and he's going to run great routes and things like that. So we just have a lot of different kind of styles of players. So it's really interesting.
The transfer, Brandon Bowling, Kyle Van Leeuwen, we talked about earlier. Nene Davis, again, the freshman who's got a lot of explosive power. And then Derek Wright and the tight end. We've talked about that earlier. Again, speaking of offense and all that kind of stuff, John Gentry is a sophomore from Houston, Texas, only had 7 carries last year, but he could be out there to begin the game at running back, and he feels like there's probably 5 guys who will play in the game tonight.
I love my running back group. Everybody is kind of a leader, so everybody listens to everybody. We got Calvin Tyler. He got 2 years. We got DAC as an old guy. And then we got me, Fado, and Like as, compliments of them. So, and Cooper Jones, actually, he's my guy. So, we kind of all can get in there and make things happen for our offense. So I think we're trying to be like a, running back by committee type of team. So I think we got the right people to do that.
Maybe, again, they all have a little different talent than others. And, again, now the coaches, according to Gentry, have just made a lot of adjustments here in the last little while to get ready for this opener tonight.
As an offense, I feel like, our tempo has to speed up more because, Coach Tuck, he wants us to go fast. So we're trying to outplay the other team and keep our stamina, as we do that. So we're just trying to move fast and outwork the other team.
Again, that's John Gentry, one of the Aggie running backs. Again, we figure we'll see maybe 4, and Noah and Makakona, and you could even go further than that. Again, for Devontae Cole, the University of Utah transfer, Devontae Henry Cole, and then even maybe to Jones, as he mentioned, the other running back that was mentioned by John Gentry. All right, one final segment of our game day coming up tonight. Again, we're on the Fan and KVNU. It's a 9 o'clock game coming up on the Pac-12 networks. It'll probably start on an app if the game before it's going long. Matt Wells and Texas Tech did win against Houston in their opener tonight, so that's great. I noticed that Jason Shelley was the leading rusher in the first half of the game against Oklahoma State, playing for Missouri State, so we'll get updates on those guys as we continue on as well, as game day rolls on, as we get ready for the game tonight. And again, immediately after the game's over, we'll be right back here to talk about it on Game Day postgame. It's Game Day on both the Fan and KVNU, and we will be right back.
S.E. Needham Jewelers is where Utah gets engaged. We offer a large selection of personalized service and extraordinary benefits with our integrity price guarantee. At Match Quality, you'll find our prices to be as low or lower than any store in the state. We consistently beat any 50 to 70% off sales, internet pricing, or so-called wholesale deals. In fact, we even price our diamonds at internet pricing, so you'll get S.E. Needham quality at internet prices. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 7, where Utah gets engaged. S.E. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block, at the sign of the clock.
This is James Stevens with White Pine Funeral Services. We often hear people say, I wish I could use White Pine, but I've already paid for arrangements elsewhere. Know that if you've already pre-planned with a different funeral home, you can still call White Pine. If you are being told you'll lose up to 25% of your money, White Pine will provide a discount equal to any fee for switching. If you have any questions, please stop by for a visit or give us a call. We would love to meet you and explain in more detail.
White Pine Funeral Services, here when you need us most.
This is Dave Simmons for Les Olson Company. Every great team knows that you have to train to stay on top of your game. Even top players continue to practice the fundamentals. That's why Les Olson Company offers free IT security awareness training so your business can stop threats before they become a problem. Learn what to do in case of a suspected phishing attack. Don't take risks. Take action with the Les Olson Security Suite. Get your free network assessment at lesolson.com.
More analysis and more previews of today's game. It's KVNU Game Day.
Last year was kind of a blur, so, I feel like this year the team has more grasp of what the coaches won and, what we won, we got a kind of different motivation. And so, everybody loves each other and we're playing as a team, we're just going to get it done.
There's John Gentry again, the Aggie running back, getting ready for the opener tonight up at Washington State. Oh, meanwhile, across the state in Seattle, Montana is 4th and goal at the Washington 4-yard line, leading 10-7 in the fourth quarter. That's the game with about 3 minutes to play that's ahead of Utah State and Washington State on the Pac-12 network. How about that up until now? UCLA does lead LSU right now, 21-10 in the third quarter. Arizona BYU just got started in their game. And so it looks like Arizona has the ball now. And California and Nevada just got started in their game. That's on FS1. Purdue beat Oregon State earlier today. Oregon had to struggle to beat Fresno State. USC over San Jose State. So a lot of matchups between our conference and that conference. Kansas State beat Stanford today, and we still have our game coming up. And then Hawaii after us, and that's about it in college football. Like we said at the start, there's a lot of teams that will have their game done before Utah State even gets started for their first game of the season. But the opener is here, and it's exciting, and Justin Rice has been through it at Fresno State, at Arkansas State, and at Utah State.
First game is always chaos. You never really truly know what they're going to come after you with. Everybody's got their own game plan for what they think we're going to run, so we got to be prepared for really anything they could throw at us. They could come out in 3 tight end sets, and we would not be ready for it, but we would have adjustments ready for that. So we kind of have a lot of things ready just in case they throw something different at us, but we kind of know what to expect, but are ready for anything.
And when we heard from Nick Rolovich earlier in our game day on KVNU and The Fan, he was talking about, again, it was hard to adjust and get ready for Utah State because you don't know what they're going to do, and Utah State kind of feels the same on the other side. A lot of the Aggie stuff, of course, is because of all this influx of new talent, Division I guys into the program to make a difference for Coach Anderson. And Coach Anderson said this all worked out exactly right this year, to have the chance to recruit all of these, 4-year, Power 5 transfers and transfers from other schools to come in and fill in this first year with him being new and everything being new, even the returning guys. It's like a brand new start. It worked well.
I think that helped, actually. I think that helped when you consider that we did bring a heavy number of transfers in January. Had you had a bunch of guys that already knew the system and knew what we wanted, you'd be trying to catch those guys up. They were learning everything at the same pace that all the veterans were learning because everything's new. I think that probably helped integrate that transfer group in. The guys this summer have all been here all summer, so they've had an opportunity to work with Coach Jackson and the staff. Our staff actually was able to meet with them some, feel like they've integrated fairly well. One of the big things for us when you start dealing with transfer guys is just the character issue. We want to make sure that we're bringing the right kind of person in. Obviously, athletically, they have to be able to help us on the field, but we need to know that they fit our culture, gonna operate on a daily basis, kind of within the rules and within the environment that we've created. And I feel like we've done a really good job of bringing in the right type of people in addition to their ability to help us on the field. So I think it's gone fairly well. We'll see how it does in fall camp, but I feel good about it to this point.
That was going into fall camp when he said that. Now, of course, we've now been through fall camp, but it looks like it's worked well. He says it's worked well. Andrew Peasley was a guy who could have probably gone somewhere else after last year's season at Utah State. He decided to stay. It wasn't for him.
Yeah, I think it's good and bad. I think you need to have a solid reason to leave, not just I'm not playing or whatever, But it also can help teams bringing in guys, Justin Rice, all the guys we brought in this semester. So, yeah, I don't know. The transfer portal's weird, but I think if you make the right decision, then it can all work out for you.
And, of course, he stayed in contact with Henry Colombi, who was a quarterback with him, now at Texas Tech, backing up the guy who played and won the game against Houston tonight. Colombi not playing in this game. He was battling for the job earlier in the camp for Matt Wells' team down there. And in the meantime, Al Lapawa, who's been around the Aggie program a long time, he was in strength and conditioning a year ago. He's helped in coaching. Now he's the defensive line coach. And he's just amazed at how this has all come together.
Honestly, the guys that have been here, they've done a great job of welcoming the newcomers in. And then the staff of the culture of the staff has been great for us. We are all about family. We preach family. So anybody that comes in, we make sure we treat them like family, make them feel at home, because they're far away from where they're at. And
Again, that's Al Lapawahu. I was just looking it up. Jason Shelley did throw for 235 yards and a touchdown as Oklahoma State only beat Missouri State 23-16. So, again, not bad. And Shelley did rush for 31 yards in the game, so he did a pretty good job for Coach Bob Petrino, as Craig brought up earlier. So there's so many aspects and so many interesting stories, and we do have all college football back. And, again, they're supposed to have almost a full house at Martin Stadium up there in Pullman, Washington. 100% capacity was available. I know at the last minute with Oregon kind of peaking again, their governor made him put on masks at the Oregon game and do some things. I haven't heard the same from Washington, so hopefully it will not happen the same way here. So, again, we're just counting it down to the start of this Utah State football season. Again, let's throw out last year, the 1-5, and how it went and all. You got Blake Anderson, like we said, it has come in and done everything fast and really, really buckled down and got after things. The future recruiting looks great. And, again, now we'll see how this team is on the field. Like we said at the top, it's game one. Game one can tell you a lot. Aggies go out, play great tonight. Who knows what this team can do? Even if they lose, we might see some aspects that we see a whole lot better than we saw a year ago, and we hope to see that, obviously, in the first game of the season. Then you're also, though, in a situation where if you lose the first game and you don't play well and all those kind of things, then you wonder, okay, back to the drawing board. Do we have to change some things? Again, it would figure everybody that's talking about things at the stadium that we'll probably still see, again, both quarterbacks for the Aggies tonight. That's kind of what they're talking about. Montana now leads with 1:33 to go, 13-7 at Washington, and they have the ball back at the 34-yard line. I do not know how many timeouts Washington has left, but how about that? Washington, the number 20 team in the nation, struggling. Oregon, the number 11 team, struggling. Pac-12 maybe has not been as strong. Now, USC did take care of San Jose, our reigning champions, pretty easy. But the Aggies would like a win against one of these teams from the Power 5 and especially from the Pac-12. And let's see if they can get it done tonight, trying to break a string of 4 straight losses in openers. That's it for tonight's game day on KVNU and the Fan. We'll be back immediately after the game's over for postgame.
KVNU Logan, 102 FM and 610 AM.
Sports Talk Radio, KLGN Logan, 106.9 FM.